Are on our page, so we encourage everyone to. I'm anti all the things that they do and represent, but it's grounded. We must continue to practice these things day to day. Resources. Be very thoughtful. What can you offer? Because that same experience was exactly what we were going through. Not one successful murder prosecution of an on-duty police officer in this country ever. Shame! But it is important to say that I feel our actions do have some gain, and it's worthwhile for us to continue fighting. They might be small, but we take these progresses as we can. We recognize that this case was the first of its kind, brought quicker than any case before. You might be thinking 2 years is a long time for a family to wait. This is the quickest this has ever happened. For a charge to be brought within just 1 year plus, it's never happened before. Some families wait 10 years more for the opportunity. This has only happened a handful of times. In Azelle Rodney's case, and he was shot 6 times, 4 times in the head by Anthony Long, who was called the Metropolitan Police's very own serial killer. He's gone on since to write a book and talk at length about his experiences as Britain's most controversial marksman. I guarantee you he'll be on the news tonight and on the radio. He is, I know he is, because this is now his job. This is now how he has his claim to fame, is killing people. He killed multiple people. He was found not guilty by a jury. In the case of Dalian Atkinson, we had maybe our first somewhat success. They weren't able to fully convict of murder, but the jury did find him guilty of manslaughter. Benjamin Monk was found guilty of manslaughter of Dalian Atkinson in 2021. We know that the impact of our building movement that has been ongoing for years, but especially the ties that changed in 2020.
Everyone raise their hands. Only put it down when it no longer resonates. How many of you lost a loved one? Everyone. How many of you guys lost a loved one to injustice? And hands down if it don't resonate. How many of you guys have had to watch your loved ones dying on camera? On the first day, when we started the trial, we watched footage of Chris being killed. We carried on watching it because it was part of the evidence. My auntie started shaking uncontrollably, started crying uncontrollably. I held her tight. I whispered to her in my language. I said, keep it together, we're in the battlefield. I said, Auntie, it's painful. It's painful. See, not much of you guys can resonate. Never had to watch your loved ones die on camera. I'm gonna be there every day. If you can't hold it together, it might jeopardize the case. I said I need to be there for Chris. Day 2 onwards, up until today, my auntie sat in that court, held it together. The only thing that was shaking was her leg. She held back every tear. She watched intensely. She watched every bit. She listened to every statement. She didn't miss a beat. Otherwise, it would jeopardize the case, right? Well, the verdict we got today, she should have just threw herself on the floor and screamed. What good did that do? We had some hope, just a little, that maybe Chris's case will be the first. Are we surprised though? Are we surprised?
No.
So shameful, right? That we're not surprised that the verdict came back not guilty, right? In a matter of hours.
Shame!
No justice! No justice! No racist! Police! No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Chris Kabe! Chris Kabe! Justice for! Chris Kabe! Justice for! Chris Kabe! Chris Kabe!
I say we will never use Mark Duggan.
Chris Kabe was a 26-year-old man who was executed by the police in 2022. The police officer made a decision to shoot him in less than the time it takes to, boil a kettle, in less time than it takes for somebody to decide whether or not to brake or whether or not to press yes or no on a survey. It took less time than that for a police officer to decide that Chris Kabe's life was worth ending. Now, we know that unconscious bias operates in all parts of human life, and we know that the Met Police has been found to be institutionally racist, misogynistic, homophobic, Islamophobic, etc. And many people feel as if that was borne out in the fact that Chris Kabe's life was stolen in just a matter of seconds. And it's not just the police system. That particular approach to black and brown life seems to extend throughout the entire society. The black poverty rate, for example, in the UK has remained at 40% for the past 25 years. And it's not as if black and brown people aren't just trying to live their lives, trying to just survive, but when they're devalued in such a specific and targeted way, it makes people very angry and upset. And that's why they're out here today, because somehow the verdict was non-guilty by a jury of his peers. But if trial by jury tells us anything in this country, it's that it often fails black and brown people in the UK. And this is just another example of that. Over 1,000 people have been killed by the police since the 1990s, according to Inquest. We know that black people are more likely to die in police custody than their white counterparts. It is top down. But these people are proof that perhaps if we take a bottom-up approach, we can really transform and change things. Because this is community-led justice. This is justice campaign led by the family. And that's perhaps more of what we need.